freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 255 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is couples by power couples by design.
Mm-hmm.
And our guests today are Robert and Kay Lee Fukui. Robert and Kay Lee have developed an innovative counseling coaching program, Power Couples by Design, which equips couples to build a thriving marriage and prosperous business.
We met them virtually at the recent Dave Ramsey EntreLeadership Summit, which is a world-class leadership conference designed to re-energize businesses and business owners. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, you guys. I'm glad we get to actually see each other in person and not just through the chat on Facebook on the EntreLeadership.
Yeah, thank you. We're honored to be with you guys today.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Absolutely. And we are excited to meet another couple that is trying to not only do life together, but also business together.
Wait a minute. You mean there's couples that do that besides us?
Apparently, we found one couple. So.
How do you do that, guys?
I don't know. We're going to ask you that.
We'll just compare notes, keep what's good, and throw out the rest.
Exactly.
Just have to make sure God's involved because
Exactly.
Isn't that the truth?
Exactly.
So in this COVID season, many people are reinventing themselves and starting small home-based businesses. For people who are doing that as a family effort, it is tricky. Can you really, in your opinion, separate your business life from your married one?
No, not you can try, but you can't do it, right? Because everything is intertwined and everything affects each other no matter what. So
true.
I haven't, just the first time I met him, and I trust him now because he said the right thing, because it's really hard, right? I mean, it is hard. It's not easy. It's rewarding. Yeah. Very rewarding.
For sure.
But it is hard.
Go ahead, Robert.
Sorry.
Yeah. You just can't separate it out. You can create healthy boundaries between marriage and business, but you can't separate out because your life is made up of a lot of things, and you just bring it into the marriage. No matter what you're doing, whether you're going to school or business or career, eventually it's going to impact the marriage in some way, and especially your business, right? Because it affects your marriage financially. So it's intertwined. So you can't separate the two, not so much. And so, the one thing I would suggest too, for those that are looking to do a side hustle per se, or to look for some do a side business to produce some additional income, is you definitely want to make sure it's something that you've got a passion for. It's not just something that makes money. Mm-hmm. Because the only thing you're going for is the money, then it's going to be a hard slog because it's not something you have to enjoy it. Right. And so if there's a passion behind it and it fits, your experiences and your gifts and your skills, then that's something that you should contemplate or consider. But if it's just strictly for the money, it's not going to work out very well, because at the moment things get tough, you're going to get going. You're going to leave
out the door.
Right? Yeah. But if it's something that you're truly passionate about, you care about, that you'll make it through the rough times of the business. As you know, you guys have been in business for 30 something years, and there's peaks and valleys in every business.
And you need something that's going to get you up in the morning.
Yeah. And it's that passion that's going to drive you through those tough times to make sure you're taking care of your customers and doing the best that you can, and the business will be successful. But if it's just strictly for the money, it's not going to last very long. And it's just going to be tough. It's going to be tougher in the marriage as opposed to just staying in your current job and doing better at that job and maybe getting promoted or maybe going to a different company and get better pay. But so anyways, you got to really consider about the business that you're getting into and make sure it's something that you have a passion for. And if you're going to do it as a family, you definitely have to be able to resolve conflict well.
Right.
That is a
sure.
challenge for sure, because, we work together, but sometimes we don't work in the same room together. And I go and I'm in this area and she's doing her thing. And then we come home and what is there to talk about? The things that we went through, but we don't want to talk about them or they don't want to hear it. It's hard. It is really hard. But, I've got a trifecta, because what really makes it hard is when you have a daughter that gets involved in your business, and then she has 2 daughters. And so now it's 4 women against 1 guy.
Dan, it sounds like you want to go to counseling. Is that what you're asking me?
Please.
I thought you would be used to that, though.
You know what?
Let's just have prayer for Dan.
Sometimes, I look back even during the hard times, and I say, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do have a connection that there's no way we'd have had this connection if we weren't so involved with each other.
Yeah.
A lot of couples, they get married and they kind of go and do their own thing.
Yeah.
And that's not always the answer. I mean, it's hard to deal with that. So anyway, I love it.
Well, it's funny because you say that, because sometimes they use that doing your own thing as a way to make the marriage better. It's basic code for we can't handle each other when we're together.
Right.
So let's be apart.
I need my time. Yeah.
So that's not an issue, or that's a bad way to deal with it.
You hear your friend say, "Yeah, I need my time," and you look at that and go, "Why? Why do you need?"
Or what is that?
Yeah, right.
So Kaylee, from the woman's perspective, the wife's perspective, do you have anything kind of to add to that about can you really and are there ways to maybe compartmentalize some pieces of it? Because I know that, the guy in the office that was like on my last nerve all day, like then he wants to cuddle on the sofa as we're watching a movie. And it's kind of like, okay, all right. That thing that was driving me nuts all day, we could talk about it tomorrow. But sometimes that's hard.
Right. No, you're right. And too, with our clients, we help people find out what their love language is, what their core values are. So those are some important things, like to turn it off when you get home from working together, or when I guess you already could be home. But like if your love language is service, acts of service, well, he comes home, maybe he does a little act of service around the house. For me, I love it when my husband takes out the trash. That's like in our house, how do you spell romance? Oh, taking out the trash. You know what I mean? So,
and if I do it in my boxers, that's really hot.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think we have to put on different hats when it's time when we're in home mode. Like, okay, we're not in work mode now. We don't need to necessarily be talking about work all the time, but let's try and get into more of a wife mode. Like, okay, we're done with work now. So let's talk about something else. Let's share what are some of your dreams that you want to do as a couple? I mean, we have different places we love to travel. So we can talk about that. I've been wanting to go to Italy. So, talk about some different things that aren't necessarily work related.
And to add, to the example you gave, Cheryl, because this is a good, very good example. It's a typical example, right? You're at work, they're stressful. Maybe you had an issue at work. Now you're coming home. Now you got to be husband and wife, as Kaylee's talking about. How do you deal with that? So this goes to what I said earlier about boundaries. Now you can't separate business and marriage, but you can create healthy boundaries. So in a situation like that, where maybe you had some kind of conflict at work, you hadn't resolved it, and now you're going to go home. That's a point where you have to be very intentional about saying, honey, this is really making me upset. I'm angry. We really need to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that at home because it's a work issue. So I don't want to bring this at home, but we do need to resolve it, because when we get home, we need to be, I want to be loving, right? So when can we talk about this, between husband and wife, when can we talk and resolve this issue? you know, is it tomorrow morning or is it in the afternoon? Or set a date and time to schedule this thing and let's address it. That'll take it off your mind.
That's why I won't have to think about it anymore, because I know we have a plan.
And you can say, I love you. You know, we love each other, and we have an issue we need to resolve. We may not have time to deal with it right now, but we're going to deal with it tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then let's go home and have a good time. Right. So that kind of, you know, says, you know, so you're not going home angry, but you're saying we're going home. We know we have an issue, but we both know we need to resolve it. We both have come up to a time when we're going to do it. And we both said, I love you. Regardless of what the issue is, I love you. Yeah. Right. That the issue is not going to separate us. Right. It's just an issue. We'll deal with it. Then that sets the stage. You keep that at work. We know when we're going to deal with it. We've already said, I love you. Now we can go home. That's a good transition to going home as husband and wife.
Because I want to know it's going to be resolved and that we're going to talk about it. So as long as he is able to communicate that to me, then I'm okay. And I feel peaceful about it. Okay. It's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be like, we're not going to talk about it.
Right.
Well, that's the hardest thing there is to do in a business, I think, is knowing to turn it off. I haven't learned how to master that yet. I have not. But it's hard because, you know, it's on your mind. You say, tomorrow I got to deal with this, but I'm home now. And how do you cut it off when you are still trying to find answers to the situation, you know, solution?
It's true. It takes a tremendous amount of maturity, I think, and also trust that it isn't just being swept away or ignored, but it will be fully discussed to both of our satisfaction and resolution, and not looking for who's right, but really what's the best decision for the whole organization, the whole business, I think is important too. Do you guys?
You brought back some memories there, because I used to always think that I had the right solution. I had it, right?
What?
And
no, I never experienced that.
Not necessarily, and not necessarily with Cheryl, but with the business overall, with customers, the whole work.
Yeah.
And I realized that, oh man, I'm way off. And by realizing that, it gave me inner peace, a lot of peace in a lot of things, because it's like, one is you have to say, is this problem really worth the stress that we're doing? All we need to do is this, and it can go away. May not be what I think is the right thing to do, but it's not the wrong thing to do, and it's solved and it's gone.
Yeah.
So the inner peace, because if you have a business, and you know, a thriving business especially, you need inner peace.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And sometimes just by talking about the next day or an hour later, it can kind of diffuse things. You can kind of sit back and think, oh my gosh, maybe that wasn't really that big of a deal as I thought it was.
Yeah, no, that is an excellent point. And, you know, on this topic of tension, you know, we perhaps never experienced a time when tensions across the nation and within families have been so high. There is so much uncertainty, and, you know, people are, you know, losing their jobs, and we just don't quite know what the next thing around the corner is in this crazy COVID season of 2020. How does improving your marriage improve your business? And is there a vice versa to that?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Go ahead.
Well,
I'll talk.
You know, the things we talk about, the things we help our couples in business is on conflict resolution, communication, conflict resolution. So that's a skill that's transferable to any walk of life, any phase, any area of your life, because we deal with people all the time, right? Whether it's at home, obviously as husband and wife, with their kids, or at church, or when you volunteer, or just friends. And then of course in business, you've got vendors, you've got employees, you've got customers. So that's just that skill of communication and conflict resolution is just huge. And that definitely improves the business, because, right, we always have conflict issues in business.
Sure.
So if you can do it,
then do you really have a business? I don't think so.
And if you can do it well at home as husband and wife, I mean, you can deal with anybody, because you spend the most time intimately with your spouse, right? And then a lot of stuff comes up, and especially as husband and wife, you're, I guess, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but you're willing to say it, right? Say,
Yeah.
talk about the issues, and just, you know, sometimes give it to each other. You know, so how do you diffuse that and then be able to resolve the issue, get to the crux of the matter? Because sometimes when you're lashing out in anger, it's because you don't feel heard or understood. And so learning how to share with your spouse, hey, I think I hear you, and and then let's talk about this in a rational manner and in more of an adult manner, as opposed to having to lash out. Let's talk about the issue and empathize, and then come to a solution that you can, you know, both agree on, and you can leave feeling that you're both heard, understood, and, you know, the solution was helpful for both of you, you know, creating win-win situations.
Communication is key in your business and at home. Just knowing what direction we're going, what the plan is. So many times I think we find ourselves in almost a heated discussion, and then we realize, oh my gosh, we're talking about the same thing, just a different way of saying it. And I'm like, honey, I think we're arguing about the same thing here, but just a different, you know, just a different way of saying it. But it's just, yeah. I mean, like for example, I know someone that was like a great CEO, he said, like with leadership and communication. And then he got home and his family life just all went to pieces. He goes, why am I able to do this at home or at work so great, but at home, I just like forget everything I've learned from all of his tools. And so he learned to apply that same situation at home to build more communication and conflict resolution and a stronger team.
Yeah. So
Kay Lee, I think that one of the problems that Cheryl and I had when we first started this business, the one we're in now, is that I didn't know what direction I was going with the business. Not in the same direction that Cheryl was going. And I think when we finally found what direction we were going together, which took a lot of conversations, that is when it started getting easier with that, right?
For sure.
I
got to be aiming at the same thing.
I have to give a plug to Dave Ramsey, because when I first opened my business, it was to make money. Okay. I mean, I liked the hobby and I liked what I was doing, but it was to make money. Going to the Dave Ramsey things, I realized that no, we're a service, we're a purpose, we're here to help people. And by doing that, we were able to get out of debt. We were able to really serve. And now our business is a service business. When you wake up in the morning, there's a complete difference when you have a business where you're helping people versus trying to make money.
So true.
And that helped with our relationship.
And it's interesting you say that, because that also goes along with pivoting too, because I used to have a really hard time with that. I we'd come up with a plan and Robert would be like, okay, honey, this is the plan. And I'm like, oh, great. I know where we're going. And then I would get stuck like, okay, well, you said we're going this direction, and he's good with change. He'd be like, honey, you need to move over into the next lane. I'm like, no, you said we were going to be in this lane. He goes, we need to move over. I'm like, no. He's like, honey, just move over. So I was going down the original plan, but then things pivoted and I needed to get over. So that communication was still an ongoing process.
But you did it together.
Yes. And I did get over.
Yeah. We weren't doing that at first. We need change. Okay. She'd go this way and I'd go that way. Well, we didn't know. We just, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Robert, you were going to say something a moment ago.
I'm sorry about that, Robert.
And you know, the second part of your question about can things in business help you in your marriage, Kay Lee kind of like someone gave an example too. Sometimes there are good things that, you know, our organization, we're very organized in business, and sometimes even a good communicator in business, but not so much at home. So you got to think about, you have to bring the good from both sides and bring it in. So, you know, in business, you know, we're used to, like, even when I was in corporate, you know, we had our weekly meetings with our manager and our sales team and all that. You know, at home, we don't have regular scheduled meetings just to talk about the issues. We're usually talking about things in passing, you know, as we go, which is good. But then it's also really great when you have dedicated time, a standing time, like for us, it's 3:30 on Mondays, to talk about the issues. You know, typically it's business, but then also a lot of personal or personal stuff too, because that way we make sure we're not distracted. Right? Because sometimes when you're doing it in passing or in the kitchen or whatever, you're semi there, but you're also semi distracted. And so to say 3:30 on Mondays, we're going to have dedicated time to talk about X, Y, and Z, right? To get on the same page for the week, but also, hey, what's coming up? it's all about being on the same page. And so those are things, just an example of things that work well in the corporate environment to keep everybody on the same page, putting systems in place, organizing all that, and then bring that in the marriage as well.
Then we have 1 day business plan where he'll pull that out too. We'll see.
1 page.
1 page, yeah. Thank you, Annie. Well, we'll see if it's lining up, because it's easy to get distracted and get on to other good things.
I'm guessing sometimes it goes more than 1 page. Is that why?
No, she said 1 day.
Oh.
No, it's a 1 page business plan. It's just something to, keep us focused on the priorities. Mm-hmm. So it's our business plan on 1 page, all the marketing operations and all that stuff, but it's all just the priorities just on that 1 page. Mm-hmm. And so, there's other details and stuff we have in other documents, but it's something that you can always turn to every week and just go through it and go, are we staying on track? Or are we deviating or whatever? So anyways, it's just it's part of our weekly meetings.
And I think meetings are so important. And that was another kind of hurdle that Dan and I had to get over, because he is so working in the business minded, and I am more working on the business minded. And so to stop and have a meeting, it was frustrating for him, because he's like, you're actually interrupting important stuff that I'm doing. And I get that 100%, but it was that, that communication, making sure we're both aiming at the same direction, even though, I'm working on these nuts and bolts and he's working on those nuts and bolts. I personally, I think that meetings are a vital part of, and like you said, a dedicated time, not just a drive-by all the time, Yeah.
I had a really big problem with that, because it was like, okay, we have 10 people times X amount of dollars an hour times not getting my work done. I mean, these all, again, remember, it was about, at first it was about money. Yeah. It wasn't about, okay, now I learned that the stuff that I need to do, I can give that to somebody else to do that would probably do a better job than me in the first place. And I can oversee things and see better things to do that would help serve the people better.
Exactly.
So.
You could kind of turn that on the other way around and say, like, oh, this is the places where I can make money, not where I'm losing money by having your meetings, because you're like, you two are coming together and you're like, okay, this is our vision. This is where we're going. And that's where innovation comes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So you, as a couple, obviously have other couples coming to you, and, serving others really can fill your cup, but we also have to be intentional, right, about getting fed and getting renewed. Who feeds you? Like, do you read? Do you go to conferences? And, how do you get refreshed so that your batteries are always charged up in order to help others?
The conferences like, the EntreLeadership thing and other stuff. But we have a core group of other, marriage and business, experts. Other people like us that are doing similar things. And so some of them are marriage counselors, some are marriage coaches, and some are entrepreneurial couples. We actually did a virtual marriage and business retreat back in June. And a lot of it was made up of people that were already on our podcasts. And we said, hey, we want to do this thing. So we got 10 of these couples together. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was we had such a great time with each other that we were just continuing the conversation. So we meet every other month, and even between those, we see some of the other people. Like one of the couples, they live pretty close to us in Ventura or in Oxnard at the Channel Islands Harbor, and they have a boat that they live on. But right now they're not living on it because they're taking care of his 91-year-old parents on 1,000 Oaks. So they asked us, hey, do you want to stay on our boat?
Oh.
So we said, yeah, we'll come out for the weekend, brought our dog. And so we just have developed relationships with other people that are doing something similar. And we just encourage each other and support each other. And not just, talk about marriage stuff, but just having fun, and we all understand what we're going through as husband and wife, but also professionally, right? Mm-hmm. So we just kind of pour into each other. So we actually use our time together to just encourage each other and refresh each other. So, there's conferences, there's church and all that, but also that core group of people that totally get you. right? We get each other. And so
Absolutely.
that's it.
I think that if a person, a couple were to first get married and then open a business and do what Cheryl and I did or what you guys did, the success rate is so low unless you have help.
Yeah.
Because first your business, most business fail, right? And
Right.
nowadays, a lot of marriages aren't making it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the counseling really helps people understand. So I wish I'd have known about it before. But my advantage was Cheryl took counseling. I didn't, but Cheryl took it and she force fed it down me. At first, I'm being honest. She had to, because I didn't agree with it at the time. Okay. So she had to, but as you know, so once you try it for a while, you start liking the taste of it, and then you start doing it yourself. I'm just being honest with you. For a guy like me, it was like, no. And now I look at counseling as a blessing on many things, not just business, that people need help. They don't realize it. And you get hard-headed people like me that say, no, I can handle this. I can fix anything. Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. And so she had to bring that to me. And she forced me to go to a 4-day counseling one time in California. And what a change that was. And I had to go by myself too. And what a change. But that was the seed. She knew, and she tried for many years to get me to go, and I wouldn't go. But then finally she found a way to get me to go, and I went. And it was just a seed. You know, it wasn't 100% right then, but it sure changed the direction. So you need counseling. However you get it, you need counseling, whether you're just getting married or just a business or doing it all together.
Well, I got a story for you, Dan. You know, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we did go to counseling, but we went to counseling before we got married. And I would have to say we even went to counseling before we even were really dating.
Oh, wow.
It was 1 month after I met her, and she encouraged me to go to counseling.
Really?
I mean, we had 4 dates. I think 4 dates. I just met her. We're 4 dates in, you know, barely a month. And she said, I think you should go to counseling.
Wow.
And I'm like, are we even a thing? We have not said I love you to each other. There's no talk about commitment. I mean, I'm just like, I just barely know this person. She's
Robert, you got to know there's nothing more like saying I love you than saying, can we go to counseling?
Go to counseling. Yeah.
Right?
Well, I didn't know that then, but apparently that's true. But I was like, I'm looking at her like, what?
When you hung around.
Obviously something.
So when she first said that to you, what was on your mind at the time? Did you think that maybe you wanted to counseling, or did you think, what's going on here?
No, I was like, I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's amazing.
There is a very good reason.
There's a backstory to that. So Robert was previously married before me, married to his grade school sweetheart. And right before Christmas, one day she was going to work and got in a car accident, and he lost her.
Oh, wow.
She lost her life and went to heaven. And my girlfriends would say to me, oh, well, you know, that's, you know, at least he doesn't have an ex-wife. That's a good thing. But my thought was, I know he loved her and he would still be married to her. But I wanted to make sure that he had room in his heart for me. And I know he'll always love her. But I didn't want to because I thought, oh my gosh, he seems like a great guy. And I didn't want to put too much of my heart involved in the relationship to find out he didn't have room. So
Robert, you need to keep her.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I didn't want to feel like I had to compete with a ghost.
Yeah.
Right. No, I totally understand your side of it. And it's amazing. And there's a lot of other reasons to take counseling too.
So that turned into 2 years of counseling, basically, all the way up to the day we did get married. So we were dating and between dating and engagement was 2 years. So we were going to counseling all the way up to we got married. And so we worked on a lot of stuff, talked a lot about, you know, our childhood issues and stuff baggage that we're going to bring into the marriage, and, you know, worked on the communication and resolving conflict and developing the tools, developing a plan to do this.
Because we didn't grow up with that. We didn't come with
Yeah.
resolving conflict.
And my dad was a pastor, and they didn't do conflict well. So,
Yeah,
so you
that
know,
happens.
you're just not trained. No one trains you to really do that, right? So
Right.
you just do what comes natural, and a lot of times that's not healthy.
And we had a family business, so we just swept everything under the rug, like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
fast
you have
forward.
to look at it and say, well, what's the what do I have to lose if I try this?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, a little bit of time. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So fast forward, Robert.
So, why we're doing what we're doing now is due to counseling. And as I was consulting my business clients, and typically they're men, as you get to know them, they start opening up, and then they inevitably start opening up about their home life.
Yeah.
And so I would just kind of coach them with what the tools that that we learned, and just kind of naturally started doing it. And then 2 years ago, I just noticed this trend between what was happening at home and how it was affecting business and vice versa. And I told Kaylee, I was like, I'd get a lot better traction, even on the business consulting side, if they would have a better marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm kind of doing it, but it'd really be great if they're both in the room together.
Yeah.
And then really address both sides, the marriage and how the business affects the marriage and how the marriage affects the business. So even if the spouse wasn't working the business, that they just get on the same page.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. So we just started, we piloted this program, an 8-week program, about 1.5 years ago. And it just, got a lot of great feedback. So we decided, let's do this. Like intentionally, our focus right now, as far as our business consulting, it's specifically for married couples in business. And they don't have to be working together, but just they're married and have a business.
Do you guys counsel together?
Yeah, we're together. Yeah, we actually do it together. There's definitely a better dynamic when we're together.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, if it's just me or her, the opposite sex sometimes will think that she's picking on him, or I'm picking on her, right? Taking sides. But if we're both in the room together, then all that stuff goes away.
Mm-hmm.
I have been 100% more successful when Cheryl and I would go see clients together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get, well, I don't want a man come into my house.
Right.
I don't want a woman come into my house.
Right.
But when we came in together, we used to do state sales. And when we go to a person's house to evaluate and decide, if they want to use us for doing this date. And if Cheryl and I went together, we got the job.
Right. Or he'll pick up on little things that maybe I missed, or vice versa.
Yeah.
The little things that people will say or not, the body language of the person you're interacting with. It can really help build trust and move things along a lot faster.
Yep.
And I just want to say, he said I forced him. Now,
We're gonna go there.
She didn't, first of all, we never have arguments in the kitchen because there's knives. No.
we wait until we have microphones in front of us, and then we fight,
when I say force, she convinced me.
That's the thing is, you can lead a horse to water. It was up to him to decide, was this going to be a valuable tool for him or not? And if he had chosen not, then it's up to me then to figure out, okay, this is the landscape, and how am I going to maneuver around it, through it, over it, under it, whatever. But again, as you said earlier in this conversation, the decision is, the marriage is everything. The marriage is going to survive. The marriage is what's going to work. And so even if I had really wanted him to take this counseling, which I did, and he had chosen not to, then the ball's back in my court. I can't just sit there and be mad at him, or again, force. There's no such thing, really.
No, she would, when I said that, she would take examples and say, well, see, if you'd have did this, then this would have happened. And that's kind of where I'm saying was forced into it. I will have to say, we've been married 35 years.
Oh, you got the number right this time.
Well, keeps going up really quick. Anyway,
every
we've been
year,
married 35 years.
Yeah,
and
every year it goes up.
We have never slept in different rooms in our house or anywhere unless somebody was out of town for something.
Right.
So even though when we had a blown out fight, by the end of the night we were
don't let the sun go down on you.
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
And
That's
so I see people, I'm going to go live at my dad's house or whatever. We never did that.
No.
And
I love you, Dad, but
our adventure was, I think, from the day we said hello to the time we got married was 9 months?
6 months.
6 months.
Oh,
From
wow.
hello to I do, and here we are 35 years later.
Wow.
It's been quite the journey.
And it wasn't, we had our first kid, 3 years? We our only kid.
Yeah.
3 years after we got married.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a journey, and it's been I would not replace it for anything.
So back to you guys, Robert and Kay Lee, what area in business do most owners struggle with? Is it at the relationship piece of it, or,
Well,
tackling the
definitely
unknowns
the
that come
relationship.
barreling at us?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the relationship piece, is always an issue, just because the stress of the business, a lot of times it's taking away time, valuable time from family and the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, outside of that, just from the business perspective, the most common issues that business owners really are challenged with is just doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to delegate well, train well, and all that. So basically they take it all on themselves. And so that's obviously very growth limiting. Right. So that's the number one thing we're usually addressing in the business. And my background's in marketing, and when I first started consulting, I mean, that's what I was known for, as marketing consulting. And so they come to me and they think the answer is getting more sales. And as soon as I walk into the business and start uncovering what's going on, because I'm a different kind of marketing consultant, I want to know exactly what's going on in the business overall. I mean, I look at their financial statements. I really assess financially where they're at, what their margins are and all that. And I really want to understand what's going on in the business. So, because sometimes more customers can actually do more harm than good. Because if you can't handle what you already have, how are you going to handle more?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's going. I'm looking at these business owners, and they're already stressed to the guild. You want more customers now because your bottom line's not healthy? I said, well, we can create a healthier bottom line if you just do business a little bit better and just fix the fundamentals. And the start of it is you not trying to do it all, because that's one of the things that's hard for a lot of business owners to
Let go of the control. It's their baby. And it's like, oh my gosh, I think I have to do it all. My hands got to be in everything. And you're the one that's blocking the growth. Because if everything has to come through your hands and you got to approve it, you only have so much time.
Yeah. And Dan said it earlier, once you realize that somebody else, he realized somebody else can probably do it better than I, because we're not great at everything. Right. And so let's stay in our lane. What am I really good at? And let's focus my time there. And let's have somebody else that's better at other areas that I'm not good at, and let them do it. And yes, we have to oversee it, but we definitely shouldn't micromanage, because then all we're doing is their work, right? Then we're just not leveraging our help and our staff and the gifts. And so,
and that also keeps you from getting burned out.
Yeah. So that's the number one thing I would say was definitely in that area. And so there's a lot of, that's where even counseling, I mean, some of the stuff we learned from counseling, we do that with our clients, because sometimes we have to let them talk about what are the fears that they're facing if they start to delegate and to kind of let go of authority. There's a fear.
Nobody can do it like me. It's my baby. No one can do it as good as me. No one can take care of the client, the customer. And, I want to be needed.
Yeah.
Hey, I had it really bad. Cheryl had it bad with me too, because nobody could even sweep the floors better than I could. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
He's telling the truth.
I'm telling you the truth. And but she helped me realize what I'm good at is starting something.
Yeah.
Then letting other people, and so, yeah, it was hard, because it's like, oh, you swept the floor? Oh, let me see how much more stuff I can pick up on the floor when I do it. And it was terrible, because it was
No, you got to do it this way, Dan. You when you sweep the floor, you got to do it this way. There's only one way to do it.
And that was the thing, is we were hearing from our staff members, it was actually demoralizing to our staff members, because they felt like, I can't even be trusted to sweep the floor. What am I even doing here? If I can't be trusted with something like that, then how are you trusting me with the other things that I do in this business?
Like handling money, right?
And I think that was like handling money.
And the thing is, while I'm sweeping, sometimes when I sweep the floor, it was like, okay, that would be my thought process for what's going on during the day.
It's a Zen moment.
But what I realize is that when I'm doing those kind of things, I can't think the big picture. I can't make other things happen that I can do. It's like now, basically, I walk away from the store and I can be gone 3 or 4 days doing trips and stuff, looking for things, which is better suited for me, because that's where I'm the best at, finding the stuff.
Right.
So letting that go, I couldn't do it if I didn't let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
for sure.
way.
Oh, it's so true. And like you were saying, Kaylee, that if everything's bottlenecking at you because, we can't even sweep the floor until Dan does it, then the other things that are like really stuck, everybody else is sitting back, and you talk about time being wasted, in air quotes, in meetings. How about the time being wasted with your staff sitting there going, I got to wait for Dan to give me this thing so that I can go and process that thing. And
it really undermines
so,
efficiency.
yeah, it's really about prioritizing.
It undermines efficiency and productivity, because what happens is your staff is going to give just really a half-baked effort, because in the back of their mind, they're just going to wait for the owner to fix it anyway. It doesn't matter how good I do it, because it's the owner's going to come back and redo it anyway. So you just really, your efficiency just goes down the tubes when that happens.
Amen.
Well, now the new rule is that, okay, I want you to make a decision, you do it, and then we'll talk about the results of that decision so that they can grow and make decisions on their own.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
empowering them.
even close to easy like it used to be. Right. It's not. I've learned that through the counseling that I have had and going through the Dave Ramsey things, and every day that I'm on the radio show, that all these things that I let the people do it, let them grow, because there's some people out there that are rock stars. Everybody that works for us is a rock star right now.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
And we're teasing Dan a lot, but I got my own little bag of tricks that
I can tell
I
you.
brought.
Dan's ready for it.
I know. Do we have another hour?
Save it for this
He's gonna
afternoon.
Yes, for sure. We're going to be on your podcast later today, and we can unpack my bag of tricks and let you know.
Well, I've had businesses before Cheryl and I were together, and they were run the way that I thought that they should be ran, and they were successful. They made money, but they didn't bring anything to the community. They didn't bring anything. Like now, our business, we are part of the community. We share with community. We help people, people that are hurting right now. We can help them. And what a difference in feeling. It's just totally different when you do that.
Yeah,
so
for sure. I want to ask Robert and Kaylee, how important would you say faith is, a belief in a higher power, whatever that is? I mean, we're Christians. This isn't a Christian show, but it comes out in the work we do, in the words we say, and that sort of thing. How important do you find that with the people that you consult with and counsel?
I mean, yeah, first, similar, we're Christians as well. And faith is definitely is huge, especially in times like these. And it's not just the faith, but even when you look at, for us, everything that we do, whether it's coaching the couples and then even helping the business, it's grounded from the Bible. I mean, the scripture, if we just go through Proverbs itself, there's so many great, so much great wisdom. I guess that's why Solomon was considered the wisest man to ever live. And it shows just in Proverbs. And a lot of those Proverbs are implemented in business every day. They may not know where it comes from, the source comes from, but they utilize, and sometimes they'll say certain Proverbs even when not knowing that it comes from the Bible. But there's so much wisdom there. And so, faith is so much important because, just like you have to have a purpose greater than yourself. Because if all you're doing is going after the buck, going after the dollar, just take care of me, it's very empty. And we see it. We'll see it, not so much our clients all have a lot of level of faith and looking higher, but when you see other people when they're just going after it and just going to make 1 million after another million or another billion, but you see that their life is just crumbling and they're really miserable. It is true. Money can't buy happiness. It can buy the toys and all that. But at the end of the day, that's all they're doing is to create happiness. They have to keep buying stuff. They have to accumulate. They have to make more money. They have to accumulate more stuff. But at the end of the day, they're miserable. The family life suffers. Even if they don't get divorced, the family life is suffering. They're just living, right? And then they're just miserable. But when you have something that there's a belief and there's a purpose bigger than you, there's so much more greater fulfillment in that. And what happens is you understand that there is something bigger than me, which means our business has to be doing something bigger than just for ourselves. Just like what Dan's sharing, the fact that that can impact the community, right? Part of our faith is talking about how do we help the poor, the widows, and the orphans. We're meant to give back. And so our business is to create income, yes, to make a profit, absolutely. But ultimately, there's a cycle that it's supposed to give back into somebody else, into the community, even into our own customers. You know, with the bigger margin we have monetarily, the more we have to give back.
Yeah.
And so that's what we help, even with some of our Christian clients, they kind of struggle with the profitability standpoint because they don't want to appear too greedy. But I said, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to, how do you want to help people? What missions organizations do you want to give? And they'll list this whole gamut of stuff they want to do. And I say, how are you going to do it? It's going to take money at some point, right? It always boils down to money is going to be a source of being able to accomplish these things and to give back. So make as much money as you want, and you can give away as much as you want. I'm not telling you what to do with the profits. I mean, part of it does have to go back in the organization so you can build a healthier organization. But at the end of the day, you can give away as much as you want, right? So let's just build it.
Yeah.
And then also, as you're building, you're also helping more people, just employing people. So, and vendors, you're keeping them in business. I mean, there's so much that your business can do outside of just giving, but even just doing business in general. It helps so many other businesses and other people just by the growth of your business.
Especially in times like this, you know, you can go in and help your community in so many different ways, you know, giving back, employing people, encouraging them, supporting them in a lot of different ways. It could be emotional, you know, encouraging them to start a business. Now's a great time to start a home business, something that you're passionate about. There's all kinds of different things. Yes. And then too, with faith, just having peace at this time, peace that it's going to be okay and that you're going to get through this. And, you know, we don't have to live in anxiety and fear and just because the media tells us that's what they want us to do, you know.
Well, for sure, because if we stay full of anxiety and fear, then we keep tuning in so that they can help us feel better, but they don't. They give us more anxiety and fear, so we keep tuning in, and it's a sick little cycle. So we have to have another outlet for that, and so I agree with you 100% that faith is for us. It's the foundation and it's everything. So we got to start wrapping up. This went so quickly. We could talk to you guys forever. So I'm excited that we get to be on your podcast.
Yeah, we get a part 2. So we're going to tell everybody, we're going to have to sandwich these or put these two together.
Yeah, for sure. So tell folks, please, the name of your podcast and also how they can follow all that you do. And if there's people out there that are like, I've been waiting to hear a solution, and it sounds like this Power Couples by Design could be a real solution for, or a real help for us. Tell folks how they can take advantage of that.
Well, yeah, all you got to remember is Power Couples by Design, because it's the .com, the website. It's also the Facebook page. It's also the Instagram page. We don't have a LinkedIn page, but you can follow me on LinkedIn or follow us on LinkedIn, Robert Fukui and Kay Lee Fukui. But yeah, the website has everything, you know, as far as the podcasts, you know, we have an online course for couples in business. And then of course, being able to contact us for coaching help. But if you just remember Power Couples by Design, you'll be able to reach us on the web or on social.
Awesome. Do you guys have coaching that you do on Zoom?
Yeah.
We've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, a lot of it, because a lot of our clients are actually even out of state. We have clients in Alaska, Montana, and, you know, Florida and so forth. So Sioux Falls. So anyways, primarily we were doing Zoom calls primarily anyway. And even in LA, you know, it could be one client. If you have to go visit a client in Orange County, that's an all-day journey. I mean, that literally is a 5-hour day right there, just for an hour meeting. So I've always been kicking around. I'd love to do more Zoom meetings, even for LA clients, because I mean, nothing really replaces face-to-face for sure, but also why not leverage technology so we can actually do more and even see more people. So now COVID's kind of been a blessing to the skies. So even the local clients are doing Zoom. So in fact, we have one, you know, this afternoon. So it's just great. It's just a great tool that really leverages your time. And so yeah, Zoom is Zoom is.
You were doing Zoom before Zoom was cool. I love it.
Exactly.
All
And
right,
when
guys.
everybody got on Zoom in March, it was really cramping our style because Zoom was having a lot of glitches, and I was like,
Yes.
"Hey, everybody's on Zoom now."
Yes, crashing the system
Yeah.
for sure. All right, guys, thank you so much for this time and for all that you've shared with us. And we will definitely be looking forward to our conversation later when we are on your podcast. And the podcast itself is called Power Couples by Design.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Fantastic. That's where everybody can find the continuation, part 2 of this conversation. All right. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're
Scott.
welcome.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Great being on.
Bye-bye.
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 That is awesome. I wish people could really dig deep in my brain.
No, nobody wants that.
I know, but understand the trials that I went through to decide for the counseling.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I know a lot of people that I can fix this myself. And I'll tell you, there's things you can't fix yourself.
It really is true. I mean, you've got to have a can-do spirit to be an entrepreneur. You've got to be a, kind of like, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself kind of an idea. But then you can't stay there. There's a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that's kind of the same idea that, you need certain skills and mindset to get you started and get you running, and having the confidence that that you can do all the things that come into play with a business. But then how do you grow that?
Right.
There's only one of you.
But besides that, your plans that you start with in a business, once you learn and educate yourself in other ways, your plans are going to change.
Yeah.
And if you don't educate yourself and you don't make changes to those plans, you're going to fail. A good chance you're going to fail.
Yeah. Well, it's been an awesome journey so far. And in so many ways, I think we're just getting started.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, we have changed directions and we have a plan. But, I mean, just recently, other changes have been made. One, because of COVID. Mm-hmm. But other things are changing. It's like, I thought, okay, I'm through, right? I'm done. What I've got here, I'm content with. Well, no, I'm not.
Well, and then our daughter, of course, Cassie Todd Jameson, she is the manager of our auction house, Pot of Gold Estate Auctions. And so now we're really purposely working on the, the legacy piece. If she decides truly, that she is going to make this a second generation business. And then she's got 2 daughters that are little right now, but we're going to blink and they're going to be of an age that maybe they want to make it a 3rd generation. You can't get, right to the, the place that we're either, ailing physically or, aging out or something like that. And then try to figure out, oh, wait, are we going to pass this business along? You've got to be thinking way down the road. And even if you don't end up that way, you should at least explore that avenue and see what that looks like. But all right, we've got to wrap up.
Is it time to thank our guests?
It is definitely time to thank our guests. Your time is your most finite and valuable commodity. And when you spend it with us, that's everything. Thank you so much. Whether you're watching on the OpsLens smartphone app, on YouTube, on GunStreamer, or whether you're listening to the audio only version that we host on our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, we appreciate you. And when you take these conversations into your spheres of influence, that's really where the rubber meets the road.
Wait, this whole conversation that we've had with this fine couple, mm-hmm. Robert and Kay Lee, mm-hmm. we never even talked about guns. But you know what? It's not all about guns. It's about how to act, how to be a great example to your friends, and mm-hmm. all these things. Again, that's a responsibility. And a gun. If you want to be a gun owner, you want to be a responsible gun owner. Sometimes you have to take it past the.
Yeah, and we are Gun Freedom Radio, right. So we're talking also about
freedom.
do you make yourself more free from your anxiety, your angst, the things that are
And your
roadblocks
marriage.
for you, your marriage?
Right. I mean, you
for
think
sure.
about that. If you really want to be free with your marriage, it's not getting a divorce, guys.
Mm-mm.
If you really, really want to be free, work together. Find
Mm-hmm.
a way to work together, because that's where freedom starts. Right?
Could not agree with you more. And I also want to thank our guests, Robert and Kay Lee Fukui. Awesome work that they're doing as Power Couples by Design. Check them out. And until next time, pray for our nation, pray for our representatives and our leaders.
All of them?
All of them, Dan.
Okay.
Ooh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Even the ones you don't like?
That's because of counseling. Yes.
Especially the ones you don't like?
Definitely the ones you don't like the most.
Oh my goodness.
Counseling,
This is
Cheryl.
way too
It's counseling.
easy.
It's counseling.
The freedom. I love it. Okay.
But we're not going to mention Nancy, right?
Oh, here we go. Have a great week. Be good to each other.
Bye-bye.
And God bless.